Married at First Sight, Season 15, Episode 17, Decision Day. We finally made it to Decision Day. So each contestant spoke exclusively with People magazine and told them how they felt about their decision day after Decision Day. So I'll read you some of their noteworthy comments as I talk about this episode. Some of the contestants just repeated what they said during the episode, so I'll skip those. Also, make sure you watch until the end because I have some spoilers to share with you. Let's get into these highlights. So Dr. Pepper asked them what they're struggling with, and Stacia pulled out a list, and Nate looked at her like, what is this crazy woman about to say? So Stacia said the issues she has with Nate are anger, rejection, communication, comprehension, disrespect, mama issues. I mean, it sounds like she's at a parent-teacher conference telling a parent about their bratty kid. If this is the type of person you are practically begging to confess his love to you, what does that say about you, Miss Thing? So she went on to say, you're starting to view me in a similar light as your mom. I'm going to start going out drinking and partying and abandoning my child because that's what happened to you. I don't feel like you give me enough credit. I agree. He's not giving you enough credit. Early in the season, he claimed that he didn't have any feelings about his mom. Clearly, he's been deeply affected because he's confusing you with Alexis. She's the one who wants to go out to the club every weekend, not you. But now you understand what it feels like having someone project their childhood abandonment issues on you like you do to him when you don't give him credit for knowing when he's in love or not. He's not your mama who you emancipated from and left you at your best friend's house to raise you. So Nate apologized for lashing out and said he's feeling the pressure from being on the show and doesn't know how to deal with his stress. But he said she needs work too. Sometimes when she says things, she's condescending and cold, and that's how we end up getting into it. When it came down to their decisions, Nate said he weighed the pros and cons, and the pros outweighed the cons. Therefore, he wants to stay married. Stacia said she didn't sleep all night. I was going back and forth on if I should say yes or no, and I was looking at all of the challenges we're going to have to overcome, and I wasn't hopeful. So, do you want to stay married or do you want to get a divorce? Well, today, I'm going to, stay committed to you. Girl, if that wasn't the most lackluster let's stay together declaration. She didn't seem optimistic, but neither did he, really. I felt like they both want to test things out without the camera crews around, and if their relationship remains where it is currently, they'll bounce. To the confessional cam, Nate said, the single Nate is a quitter, and the married Nate is not. Now, I didn't think that statement was at all profound, but Stacia said, damn, whew. Ooh, you got me with that one. And was tearing up. It worked for her. So part of what Stacia told People magazine about Decision Day was throughout the whole process, I was very confident that Nate and I had no worries going into Decision Day. However, the week leading into Decision Day, I felt like I was starting to feel like we were not really on the same page, and I was starting to worry that we weren't as compatible as I once thought. That feeling of them not being on the same page was probably Nate starting to speak up for himself and not being a yes man like he had been doing most of the season. Will you go to therapy? Yes. Sign a post-nup? Yes. Get a tattoo? Yes. Agree to mop the grass, dust inside the trash cans, and tell me you love me every single day while you live in my White House? No. Oh, we are not on the same page. So part of what Nate told People magazine was, Stacia and I are good on paper, but I realized that for the last 8 weeks, I've been focused more on reassuring Stacia and tending to her needs. I feel like I didn't get much of that. I believe we need more balance and accountability in our relationship because her ideas on marriage are superseding mine. I've also taken mental notes, not only on Stacia, but also highlighted my own blind spots. It's eye-opening to see my own flaws during this experiment. I believe that part of his feeling like her ideas about marriage superseding his comes from his lack of experience and his lack of confidence when it comes to relationships, whereas she had very strong opinions and was very confident about what marriage should look like. So he allowed her to steer the ship, which is exactly what she wanted. I'm not saying her ideas were correct, but she stood her ground. I'm not very optimistic about these two because they're on different pages when it comes to having kids, and he's not strong enough and maybe perhaps not rich enough to navigate her control issues. And her seemingly lack of awareness of her need for control can rip this relationship to shreds. Weeping Willow said that he recently had an epiphany that he gets in his head, and once he gets in there, it's hard to get him out. Then he thanked Alexis for helping him to see that about himself. So Alexis said she felt loved and cherished. Thank you for cherishing me. So Pastor Cal asked how consummating the marriage has changed their relationship. Weeping Willow said, "It's been fun." And Alexis said, "I was proud of him for initiating, but we've got some work to do." And Dr. Pepper says, "That's not uncommon. Most relationships, after it goes to a certain level, have some work to do." Now, Dr. Pepper, you know this woman already wasn't physically attracted to him, had a problem with him not being an alpha male, and got on her nerves for crying every time a leaf hits the ground. Now you want her to overcome unsatisfying sex too? A sister needs something to work with. I'm not saying I'm Team Alexis, but I understand. So when it came to their decisions, Weeping Willow said, "I know it's been an emotional roller coaster. I know I've made you feel isolated and alone at times, and that you may resent me for some of my actions, but you compliment me, and I'm going to continue to discover things about myself that will benefit me as a person. So I do want to stay married." What's with these people rattling off all the negatives about their relationships when their answer is yes? And the only positives he named were how he would learn more about himself if she stuck around. So Alexis just kind of gently nodded her head, but didn't seem that happy. She was sitting there looking like a prize fighter who was being blackmailed into throwing a fight. Like, the words that are about to come out of my mouth right now aren't really mine. So she pulled out a letter and read it to him, and here's some of the things that she said. "At one point, I felt like I've seen enough hurt, enough isolation, enough chaos. I've struggled to see the positive and struggled to see what the right thing to do is. I'm going to trust you even when I'm afraid to, confide in you even when I'm afraid to, choose you even when I'm afraid to. I can't say yes to forever, but I can say yes to time. I'm saying yes to staying married." I mean, are these people allowed to reverse their decision? Because if I heard all that struggle, chaos, and afraid chatter, I'd be like, excuse me, can I change my vote? So this is what they look like after saying yes. Neither one of them seem pumped about staying together. Like, they are just going through the motions via the path of least resistance. So they brought their own wine for their toast, which was obviously premeditated, so they both knew that they were going to say yes, right? So then they went over to the confessional cam and started fighting. Weeping Willow was talking about his biggest fear was Alexis quitting after decision day because she says that's what she's used to. And Alexis didn't like the fact that he wasn't giving her credit for saying yes and wanting to give the marriage time. Then they got into it over his use of the word quitting. Alexis was like, "Have you ever broken up with someone? Is that quitting to you?" "Eventually I quit, but I had enough data to know that things weren't going to work out. If we give our marriage 12 months, then we can at least say we've tried. My biggest fear was you quitting. Like, right now, you're making it seem like it's a privilege that you chose me." "Like, what do you mean?" "We'll talk about it later." "But you didn't bring it up later. How's that fair?" "It's not." "Okay, let's go start our marriage. Let's go." So at this point, Weeping Willow seems to finally be feeling what we've been saying all season, that Alexis is not into him. So he's questioning everything. So to the confessional cam, Alexis said that this isn't how she thought they were going to start their marriage, by fighting. Weeping Willow asked if she's having doubts. So she got annoyed because she told him a few moments ago that she was having doubts, therefore she didn't understand the question. So this launched them into another petty fight about whether or not she was having doubts. So Alexis says, I'm a logical person. I'm not an emotional person. I wouldn't have typed out this whole speech saying yes if I wasn't planning on saying yes. Her energy was so over him and over it from the moment she showed up to decision day. I believe Weeping Willow picked up on that energy too, which is why he was questioning her yes. So Alexis told People magazine, the morning of decision day, I was riddled with confusion and the overbearing feeling that I'd be making the wrong decision. Despite these feelings, I knew that being uncomfortable had previously been a sign of growth for me. Therefore, I interpreted what I had been experiencing as such. I consider myself a forever student, always learning, growing and making progress where needed. With this in mind, my decision was based on the concept that maybe I'd stopped making progress because I had unknowingly stopped being a student. Now, I don't know about all this student talk, but being a student isn't going to make you less annoyed and more attracted to this man. So Justin told People, I felt balanced the morning of decision day. I knew that I had given my marriage 120%. I knew that I had been over accommodating for my wife. Going into the day, my decision was clear and not clouded. I didn't have any nerves because I was so clear-headed. I made the decision I made because I had already sacrificed a lot, but felt that having the cameras leave, we would be given the time and space to build a better relationship. The experience wasn't at all what I was expecting. I was hoping to have more expert guidance, and the speed of it all was unnerving and impacted my marriage. So for those of us who may have been thinking that the experts were perhaps like helping them over the phone or off camera, this pretty much shuts that theory down. In the statement, he kept referring to what he sacrificed. Is he talking about his dog? Because what else has he sacrificed? But you don't say yes on decision day because you gave your dog away to a friend that you can get it back from. I believe he said yes because this is the deepest and best relationship he's ever had. And as for Alexis's yes, I can't shake the feeling that she's been trying to navigate this relationship in a way that she won't get a villain at it. I don't think her yes had anything to do with Weeping Willow. Lindy talked about how Miguel would question the match and question if he's ready to be married when they had disagreements. Then she questioned if his complaints about her interrupting him, if that's like a normal give and take. Yes, girl, it is. Seriously, is he the first person to tell you that it's rude to interrupt people when they're talking? So the pre-decision chat pretty much had Miguel on the defense, which I didn't think was fair because Lindy's no pony ride either, Mrs. Outburst. So when it came to their decisions, Lindy basically said, she's proud of the person that he is. But when I need you the most during times of conflict, when you pull away from me and shut down, it scares me. But the way we are able to connect and talk about hopes and dreams, just the connection alone. I love you so much and I want to stay together. I don't know. I just feel like when they're giving these negative yeses, they are forecasting why their relationships are going to fall apart. Now, Miguel said he wrote a little something, which scared me a little bit because his nerd hip hop poetry does leave a little aftertaste. So here's some of what he had to say. And after 8 weeks, I feel like I know so much about you. Not just your favorite color, which is teal, but more than the frivolous facts. I got to get to know you. I'm inspired by you, and I'm obsessed by you. I hope you will continue to be my Lendy until the day I die. Lindy, of course I want to stay married to you. Okay. He brought it for decision day. This was easily the most positive yes of the day. Lindy was crying. Dr. Pepper was crying. Pastor Cal was a little touched by it. I think they really do admire each other, but Miguel wasn't truly being himself in the beginning. I believe his real personality is going to clash quite a bit with Lindy's. He doesn't seem to have the patience to deal with the drama queen day in and day out, and she won't be able to handle how he shuts down or lashes out when she gets on his nerves. When Krysten arrived to the couch and sat down, a bug flew in her mouth. He's going down. He's digested now. I think that was an omen. Like, if you say yes, prepare to live with the bugs flying around in Son of a Mitch's bathroom. So Son of a Mitch talked about his regret of the way he handled the marriage in the beginning and that he's more afraid of commitment than he thought he was. On day one of Son of a Mitch being cast on this show, he talked about his fear of commitment and getting married at first sight might be the only way he'd be able to commit to marriage. Producers, why are you allowing this man to use your show as a taste test? He's put this woman through hell only to come out the other side still saying he's afraid of commitment. Like, nope, that didn't work. Still scared. So Krysten said, I love your love of the environment. You're very stubborn, but I like that you can look at yourself and see things you need to change. You can step back and say, okay, I do need to change this about myself and I need to work on it. When it came time to give their decision, Son of a Mitch basically said, Krysten, this has been an incredible 8 weeks and you've helped me grow and helped me recognize things. You deserve someone who is head over heels in love with you and really committed to being your husband. In my heart of hearts, I really want to see this through and see what it would be like in the real world, but it's less than you deserve. So for that reason, my decision is not to stay married. So to me, it sounds like they talked about it, and Krysten said that she was going to say no if he won't declare his love and give her a bigger commitment. Since he's only interested in dipping his toe in the water to see if he likes her better outside the experiment, he was like, never mind. So Krysten said, you put that really well. I want to say yes. I would give anything for your commitment to be more. I do want more. I deserve more. I'm ready for marriage and I deserve someone who is ready as well. I'm choosing myself today and I want a divorce. Now, Krysten's no was strictly based on Son of a Mitch's decision, not the fact that she's had to sacrifice, twist, and contort herself into a different person in order to get along with this man. Nor was it based on whether or not he can be the husband she needs him to be. It's like he could have behaved any way he wanted as long as he told her what she needed to hear. So while Krysten was talking, she was holding Son of a Mitch's hand like super tight, and Pastor Cal asked like, what was that about? And Krysten said, I really care for him and want to be on good terms. I don't want to cut ties and never speak again. I think the right thing to do is divorce and maybe the door is left open. Son of a Mitch said that he hopes that they can be in each other's lives, but just doesn't think marriage is in the cards for them. Okay, Krysten, hear his words, Mrs. Leave the Door Open. He said marriage is not in the cards for you guys. He's not into you. Close that damn door and move on. So as they walked away, Pastor Cal said to Dr. Pepper, this has to be the most amiable divorce. I don't understand it. I really don't. That's because they didn't allow you on the set this season. If you were a bigger part of the show, you'd see that these two had been in an unhealthy situation, Pastor Cal, like since day one. Krysten told People magazine, the morning of decision day, I had my mind 99% made up to a no. Although I knew Mitch and I had made a tremendous amount of progress, it still felt only like a mutual respect and friendship. There was a lot missing, romantically speaking, and I was very tired of putting in the majority of the work and carrying the emotions of the relationship. I thought to myself, if Mitch provides me with a romantic grand gesture today and reassurance that he unequivocally wants to be my husband, essentially convinces me to stay, it will be really difficult for me to say no to that, especially since we are already married. All in all, the experience showed me how strong I am, how I can do anything I set my mind to, and how much I love myself. I am the whole package alone. I don't need anyone in my life who isn't sure about me or wishes I were different. Mitch deserves the same. Krysten is consistent. She had an entire list of things that was missing from her marriage and talked about how she was tired of doing the majority of the work. Still, if Son of a Mitch would have written a Miguel nerd hip-hop poem, she would have ignored her own happiness and chosen Son of a Mitch instead. I do believe Son of a Mitch understood that about her, and I'm glad he didn't string her along by spouting a bunch of nice words and saying yes on decision day, because Krysten would have pounced all over that and would be planning their vow renewal ceremony already. So Son of a Mitch told People, Of course, I'm disappointed that my marriage didn't work out. Even if the MAFS experience is a gamble by its very nature, I know that this experience will help me become a better person in the long term. At present, I'm still processing some of my own guilt and sadness over how everything turned out, but I suppose that's all part of growing from the experience. Son of a Mitch, good luck finding someone who is willing to put up with you and all your antics even half as well as Krysten did. The following day, everyone got together to allegedly tell everyone for the first time what decisions they made, as if they didn't call each other and talk about it already. It was a nice surprise to see Ben, though. He was happy and looked lighter. Oh, and Kathy showed up too with her blouse open to her belly button. Ben said they haven't spoken since their decision day, but they belong to the same gym and saw each other once, and they gave each other like the peace sign and just kept it pushing. So to the confessional cam, Stacia said that Ben and Katty seem to be happy doing their own thing, but she thinks they gave up on their marriage too soon. Like they both gave up too easily, and Katty should have given Ben more grace and tried to work through it. And Nate was just standing behind her, nodding in agreement. I always appreciate when the cast weighs in on Ben and Katty's relationship because it feels like they cut out some big chunks of their story. Then they sat in a circle and everyone took a turn to share what their decisions were and why. And at some point, Alexis said to Krysten, "Sis, I noticed you're not wearing your ring anymore." They flashed the camera over at Nate and he was shaking his head and turning his mouth up a little bit like, here we go again with these two. So Krysten said, "I do want to say there's a part of me that wanted to see where this can go because we do have something here. It's hot, it's cold, it's unexplainable. But then I thought about it, and if I hadn't given my all, then I do want to stay and do more. But I felt like I did, so that's why I said no." Krysten and Mitch talked about how they have different lifestyles, they were sacrificing too much, and it didn't make sense for them. But Krysten wants to leave the door ajar a little bit, just in case son of a Mitch decides he wants to be married to her. I mean, you would think this man slayed the fire-breathing dragon, carried her out of the dungeon, and treated her like rich royalty. She just can't let him go. Then Miss Let Me Add Some Kerosene to the Fire, Alexis, asked son of a Mitch, "Son of a Mitch, I have a question. If she leaves the door ajar, people sit by the phone and the phone never rings because I've been on that other side and they never come. I don't know. I was resolute when I said that I want to be open to friendship and I meant it in that way. So just close it in the marriage way. Just close that side." Yeah, none of that came from my end is all I'm saying. And Krysten was like, "Wow, ha." And Alexis was like, "Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So sorry." Alexis, with friends like you, who needs home wreckers? Meanwhile, Lindy was in the background being the peanut gallery. "Bolt the door, slam it, close it, double lock it, girlfriend." So Krysten said, "I think that this moment provided clarity, and I think that the son of a Mitch and Krysten show is over." Krysten, it took this man almost 6 weeks to say he was attracted to you without throwing up in his mouth a little bit. You seem to be the only one who didn't hear that man say on decision day that marriage is not in the cards for you guys. He doesn't like you like that. Like, let it go. This may be one of the only seasons where the other contestants literally destroyed each other's relationships or kicked a big hole in them. So Alexis and Weeping Willow helped demolish Ben and Kathy's relationship. And at the group gatherings, Alexis has poured some kerosene in Krysten and Mitch's relationship at least twice that I can recall. The first time she instigated Poolgate, and now this. It's cool to have the group gatherings, but at least have an expert on deck when things get buck wild. So then Alexis and Weeping Willow talked about their decision. Weeping Willow talked about his yes. Then as Alexis was discussing her yes, she mentioned that they got into a fight 20 minutes afterwards. "And my husband asked me several times if I regret saying yes, and I'm still processing." So to the confessional cam, a producer asked, like, "Where do you go from here?" And Weeping Willow said, "Hopefully we'll figure it out." And Alexis says, "I don't want to figure it out. I'm done." There's your answer. She's done. all the fighting you guys did throughout the season, and you still said yes on decision day. If you were only one fight away from saying no, girl, you should have rewritten your character script and had her say no yesterday. So the next day, we see them moving out of their shared apartment. So to the confessional cam, Weeping Willow said her asking for a divorce was a curveball he didn't see coming, and it was a total embarrassment for him. So Alexis said to the confession cam that her asking for the divorce was an unthought out, unplanned, I can't take it anymore move. In other words, you were being genuine and saying how you really felt. So she apologized to Weeping Willow for her behavior the night before, and she said she was embarrassed when she woke up realizing what she did to him. So to the confessional cam, Weeping Willow said, she's all talk. She said she wants to be married, but she really doesn't want to be married to me. Be honest with yourself. Weeping Willow, I think you can use your own advice. Be honest with yourself. When Alexis told Dr. Pia that she wasn't ready to be married to you, why did you give away your dog? Have bad sex with her, say yes on decision day, and expect a happy ending. Did you really want to be married to Alexis, or did you just want to be married? Meanwhile, Krysten and Son of a Mitch talked about the group conversation, and Krysten said she felt like she was being genuine and nice about the whole leaving the door ajar thing. So Son of a Mitch said, I didn't show up to decision day to say, no, I don't want to stay married, but let's just keep dating. Nobody wants that. That's what I was trying to say, but it may not have come out that way. No, it did not. You said that leaving the door ajar wasn't your idea and you were good with the no. But unless they had like an ajar conversation that we didn't get to see, it does look like this was Krysten reading into Son of a Mitch's willingness to stay friends and took it as a sign that he may reconsider their entire marriage. So Son of a Mitch said he was basically responding to the pressure that the ladies were putting on him that night. He said that he wanted the ladies to chill out. He was afraid of being made out to be some half-assed dude. He said, all of this door ajar talk is just not important to me right now. Just like, leave me alone, you know? Krysten said, judging from that, I feel like we should just completely close the door. And to the confessional cam, Krysten said, this is how Son of a Mitch is. 1 minute you think you're going one way, then he takes you a different way. He doesn't deserve me, and I hope that he doesn't waste another good woman's time. But then they go back to their conversation, and Son of a Mitch said he hopes that they can remain friends. And without hesitation, Krysten said, I'm going out of town next weekend, so if you can watch Luna, that would be great. Krysten, say what you mean and mean what you say. You just said you were done with him. If Son of a Mitch called you tomorrow and poured his heart out to you, you'd be back in it 100%, Mrs. The door is completely closed. If you don't want to hear spoilers, then you've reached the end of the video. Feel free to click out, and I will see you next time. If you do want to hear spoilers, then let's get into them. In my spoilers and rumors video that I posted about this season, I talked about Nate and Stacia saying yes on decision day and showed you videos he made, which appeared to be filmed in Stacia's new home. Well, according to MAFS fan, the relationship is over. Now, I believe they may have been together still when they taped the reunion episode a few months after decision day. However, the word on the street is that they have broken up. The videos he released in the last 3 weeks were filmed in his old apartment. I suspect he moved into Stacia's house on a trial basis and still held on to his apartment. Oh, and he dyed his hair blonde. Now that he's single, I guess he wants to know if the saying is really true that blondes have more fun. And Stacia has decided to revive her YouTube channel as well. She posted a video on October 6th of 2022. Looks like she's embracing some blonde in her life too. I see you, Stacia, with your blonde streaks. It's unfortunate that things didn't work out like they hoped, but I can't say that I'm shocked. But I wonder if they'll cover up their matching tattoos. As for Lindy and Miguel, in my spoiler video, I reported that they would say yes on decision day and showed you a photo of them walking around Trader Joe's together in September of 2022. Well, according to MAFS fam, they are no longer together either. Now, I wonder if the way they were from the retreat on ever changed. They seem to be willing to work through their issues together, but unfortunately, it didn't work out for them. So for season 15, there are 0 for 5 couples staying married. But I still wonder if the experts were allowed to counsel these couples like they used to the first seasons, because they counseled the heck out of those folks, if any of them would have lasted long term. But unfortunately, we'll never know. I can't wait to see the reunion. Looks like drama, fights, and tea is going to be spilled all over the place. See you in the next video. Bye.